Hi, everyone. My name is Yere. I'm one of the account executives working at Navan, where I solely focus on the facilities vertical, be it skilled nursing facilities or assisted living facilities. And before we jump right in, I'd like to set the table, so to speak, on something that comes up too often when it comes to conversations between myself and operators, clinical leaders, or administrators. It's this idea that staffing instability is mostly a hiring problem. What we see in practice is actually a lot of it shows up in the first few weeks after someone starts. That's where onboarding either builds confidence or creates more work for the team. Most operators don't think they have an onboarding problem. They think they have a staffing problem. They're hiring constantly, they're trying to keep shifts covered, and training is just one more thing to get through. But what actually happens at the end of the day, in a lot of buildings at least, is that onboarding doesn't break intentionally. It just gets compressed. And when that happens, training stops being something that's actually guiding the role and starts becoming something people are just trying to get through. That's usually where the experience starts to break down. When staffing gets tight, onboarding stops being a clean sequence. A new hire might complete a few modules, shadow briefly, and then they're already on the floor. So they're learning the role simultaneously while also being responsible for the role. That's usually where things start to slip. They technically finish onboarding, but they don't always feel prepared. And when that happens, the gap doesn't disappear, it just shifts. Managers, charge nurses, staff development, they start filling those gaps collectively during the shift. That informal retraining happens a lot more than people expect. And over time, it creates a second layer of workload that no one planned for. That's usually when operators start looking for a better way to structure training. Not to add more of it, but to make what already exists actually work in practice. The buildings that stabilize faster tend to do one thing differently. They keep onboarding structured even when hiring volume is high. And that starts with redefining what floor ready actually means. It's not a checklist. It's not just completing modules. It's whether someone can step onto the unit, understand the routines, the day-to-days, and handle what they're going to face during a shift with confidence. And the way that usually gets solved is by giving each role a clear, consistent path. So onboarding isn't something that changes from building to building, but something teams can rely on from day one. The strongest programs usually standardize the first window, especially the first 30 days. The first week comes with it a building of familiarity. The next few weeks reinforce the rhythm of the floor. And instead of long sessions that pull people off the floor, they use shorter, engaging, consistent touch points that fit into the workday. That's what allows training to actually happen without creating more pressure on the team. And when that structure is in place, a lot of the coordination happens in the background. So leaders aren't chasing completions or piercing things together manually, and training becomes something that runs consistently without needing constant oversight. One of the biggest shifts we're seeing right now is operators focusing less on how fast they can hire and more on how quickly someone becomes confident in their given role. Because that early experience shapes everything. When onboarding is clear and structured, people settle in faster. Managers spend less time filling gaps, and that's usually where the biggest shift happens, not just in how training is delivered, but in how much time leaders get back from not having to manage it manually. And the building starts to stabilize in a way that actually lasts. That's really what this comes down to. Not just training faster, but making sure the way people come into the role actually supports the team around them. Because when that part works, a lot of the downstream challenges start to stabilize on their own. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me today. Should you be open to further discussion, please feel free to reach out at any time, as we'd love to learn more about what you're experiencing at your given facility. Have a wonderful day.